Hi guys, hope you're doing well. I thought I would just quickly answer some of your questions. I did get some astrology questions regarding my last audio, I guess, and just some questions in general. So that I haven't answered in a while. I haven't gotten them today, but they're here. So I thought I would just answer them. First question was the astrology one. I'm going to answer it right away so I don't forget about it. If I have an empty seventh house, does it mean I will never get married? No, it doesn't. Empty houses do not mean that this area of your life or, whatever the house represents won't happen for you. Empty house basically means that there is no like karmic debt from past lives or just on your soul journey regarding to the activities in that house. You absolutely can still get married. In fact, I know people with an empty seventh house who are married or who were married. Yeah. It doesn't mean that. Also, if you have an empty fifth house, it doesn't mean you won't have children and all the other stuff. That's not how you look at those aspects, okay? Um, Another thing that I'm just gonna quickly mention, an empty sixth house can be, good because sixth house is the house of health. So it can mean that you're not gonna experience any like health issues in this life, but also a sixth house represents other things like your habits and like your routines and things like that. So it's not just that, it really does depend. And with the astrology, you kind of have to look at everything in correlation, so it's difficult to answer questions just like that. But an empty house absolutely does not mean that that area of your life is not going to happen or that it's going to go badly or anything like that. It doesn't mean that. Um okay, next one is, let me just see. Okay, next one is regarding spell work. So the question was, just curious, since I gave you more insight on why the target resists commitment, will that help you adjust how you approach the spell or make it more targeted? Yes, it will. The more information you have, the more information we know, the easier it is for me to customize your spell work, because every spell, as you know, is customized. So it's really good to know certain things. If there are things you don't know but you think are really beneficial and you would like to know, or if they bother you in some way, it's very good to do a reading. We can see everything in a tarot reading. So that's your option as well. But if you already know what the reasons behind it are, then definitely tell me. You really have to be honest with me and tell me all the information that can help me. um, I don't like when clients are just like, when I have to like get words out of them and ask a million questions, because it can be difficult. So definitely anything you're concerned about, anything you think is important, write it down. Of course, we don't want you to write essays, but longer messages are totally okay, especially if you are just having consultations and just want to describe your situation to me. Like, the more I know, the better answer I can give you. So that is important. Then third question was, do I need to get a reading before I start spell work? You do not need to get a reading. Readings are optional. They're not mandatory. Readings can help both you and both me to understand the situation better, but they will not be necessary in every case, because sometimes people really understand the situation and they don't need a reading. The only time when I would suggest readings is if something is unclear. So if somebody just disappeared and you have no idea what happened or what's going on, then obviously we we should get a reading. And also, if you're trying to get back together with an ex that you haven't been in contact for years, or you broke up years ago, this is when you will need to get a reading, because most likely your situation will not be appropriate for spell work, because, as you know, if it's been that long, the energy bonds will be really weak, and it will be extremely hard to get this person back, and most likely won't work. So the reason why I ask you for a reading in that case is because I need to check if there's any, point in doing spell work, and in most cases, unfortunately, there will not be. But sometimes, your target will not be completely over you, even if it's been years, and then we can work on it. In other cases, we can try at best, but I do not recommend it if it's been a long time, because chances of it working are slim, and it's going to take a while if it's even going to work. So it's not the ideal situation, and that doesn't make you ideal candidate for magic, unfortunately. Okay, let's see the next question. So the next question was, does everybody need a reprogramming audio? Well, no, nobody really needs it. Reprogramming audios are basically for your mindset and to help you with your vibration. And you can do the vibrational work in some other way as well. And I mean, along with the audio, you should still be doing it by yourself as well, because that's the most important thing. So reprogramming audios are something that I do to help clients, and I usually do it not for every single client, but when I see a bunch of limiting beliefs, or if somebody asks me and thinks that it will be beneficial. Also, they are mandatory with some type of glamour spells, not every single type, but if you're going for a certain goal, then absolutely your mindset will play a role, and a big one with that, if you want to change something about your appearance. In that case, you will need an audio, but in general, with love workings, they are not mandatory, obviously. If you do get them, and if I do think you need them, and if I do think it will help you, and usually it's the anxious clients that need them the most, the victim mentality clients. So in those cases, if you get them, it is very important to listen to them regularly. Do not stop. I know it's a chore. I know it's not ideal. I know. I understand, but they do help. And in order for them to help you change your mindset and your vibration, therefore, you need to be consistent. And just like in general, with vibrational work, with working on yourself, you need to be consistent. Just like I discussed in the last audio, which was about astrology, but not just about astrology. You really need to be consistent, because vibrational work, working on yourself, working on your shadow, it will not be comfortable. And when we don't find something comfortable, what we tend to do is avoid it. Yeah, we do. And there's so many people that refuse to do vibrational work. In the past, I do have great clients now, but there was always somebody who didn't want to, and who didn't think they needed, and just they don't see the point of it. And the reason why is because, truthfully, it's not comfortable for people to do that. It's not, and I know it's not. Just like getting therapy is not exactly comfortable. Just like working on yourself, it's not comfortable. Just being on a diet, it's not comfortable. Working out is not comfortable. But to create a change, you need to go through a period that's not comfortable. That's how you grow. So, and that's how you make any change, like even in your appearance, right? It's not exactly comfortable to, for example, sit for 8 hours at a hairdresser to change your hair color from black to blonde, for example. But if you want that change, you can't just put on a box dye and expect it to be platinum blonde after 30 minutes, right? So change comes from not being comfortable. Yeah. And growth comes from not being comfortable as well. So I know it's difficult. It doesn't have to be, it's more like how you view these things. So I think there are people who kind of approach them in a very um, interesting way, and even make it fun and interesting to explore themselves and to learn things about themselves. And I think that's kind of how you should look at these things, but because that's how I personally look at them. So try that maybe, because I know that if you're gonna have that mindset, it's difficult, it sucks, it's boring, whatever. You're not gonna be able to be consistent with it. So try to find some interest for it, because why wouldn't you be interested in yourself? You are an interesting person. Everybody is. We are all very, very complex individuals, and it's amazing, in my opinion. So, yeah, even though it seems hard, even though it's not the most comfortable thing, even though it does take some time, you gain so much more from it. And you're gonna see that you're gonna gain so much from it. And you're gonna be happy then and grateful then. So it's not gonna fall from the sky. It's not gonna just happen overnight. You will need to do that work, and you will need to be a bit uncomfortable. So what? There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing. Anyways, I think those are all the questions I wanted to answer today. Um, if your question hasn't been answered, you can just ask again. I mean, I probably answered it to you, right? But if you want it answered so everybody can hear it, if you think it's something that would, benefit others as well, you can mention it. Some people do it and give me video ideas, and that's so great. So yeah, anyways, guys, those are the questions I'm gonna answer today. I hope it was helpful. I hope you learned something. I hope you're doing the work. I love you. Bye.